7. They took a carriage to the Brooks house, where the man signed the hotel register as A. Monroe and wife. Curious locals heard him call his eye-candy companion Bessie, a name they amended to Diamond Bessie because of the expensive jewels she wore around her neck and in rings on most of her dainty fingers. Jeffersonians would learn in time the true identities of the twosome they found so fascinating. Both were the black sheep of their respective and respectable families. A. Monroe was Abraham Rothschild, son of a wealthy jeweler in Cincinnati whose drinking, gambling, and womanizing had tried his father's patience to the point of disinheritance. Bessie was Annie Stone, born in 1854 to the owner of a Syracuse shoe store. She ran away from home at 15 to be the full-time mistress of a man by the name of Moore. When they parted company, she took his last name with her, and as Bessie Moore, plied her trade as a prostitute in infamous fleshpots like New Orleans and Hot Springs. It was at the Arkansas resort that Abe and Bessie met a year or maybe two before their grand entrance in Jefferson. Since his father had cut him off, Abe looked to Bessie to keep him in the style to which he had been accustomed his entire life. Given her affection for the scoundrel, she was happy to oblige, but drew the line at selling her diamonds. When they fought, which had been often of late, it was over the jewels and her iron-willed determination to hold on to her prized possessions come hell or high water. On Sunday, January 21st, their third day in town, the couple decided to go on a picnic. With 2 fried chicken dinners under one arm and Bessie on the other, Abe strolled across the bridge over Big Cypress Creek and into the woods. He was alone when next seen in town that afternoon, but made no effort to stay out of sight. In response to courteous inquiries about his wife, he said she was visiting friends in the area and would rejoin him in plenty of time to catch the eastbound train on Tuesday. But that was not what happened. Witnesses would remember watching Mr. Monroe climb aboard the train with the complete set of matching luggage the two brought with them, but no one could recall seeing the missus since her picnic departure on Sunday. A winter storm soon blew in, dumping half a foot of snow on northeastern Texas and subjecting Jefferson to a week of sub-freezing weather. When the temperature at last began to rise, Sarah King went hunting for firewood and found instead the partially decomposed body of a woman in exceptionally fine clothes. She had been sitting on the ground with her back against an oak tree when her unknown assailant fired a single bullet at point-blank range through her temple. Even though she had been stripped of her trademark jewelry, there was no doubt in anybody's mind that the victim was the woman the townspeople had nicknamed Diamond Bessie. Jefferson was a long way from the wild frontier, in culture as well as distance, and murder, especially of a member of the fairer sex, was not an everyday event. That may explain why the inhabitants took pity on poor Bessie and paid for her plot and burial out of their own pockets. The Monroes had mentioned a short stay in Marshall prior to their arrival in Jefferson. The authorities located the hotel where the couple had spent 2 nights and demanded to see the register. Right there in black and white was A. Monroe's real name and his hometown. The Texas Rangers and Marion County Sheriff arrested Abraham Rothschild in his Cincinnati hospital bed, where he was recovering from a self-inflicted wound. During a clumsy attempt to take his own life, the drunk had succeeded in putting out his right eye. Meyer Rothschild may have washed his hands of his worthless offspring, but he could not sit back and allow his flesh and blood to hang for murder in faraway Texas. He financed the fight against extradition on behalf of his boy, but lost that round when the governor of Ohio signed the order to send Abraham back to Jefferson on March 19, 1877. While the wheels of Lone Star justice were famous for grinding at breakneck speed in those days, in this case they had trouble getting traction. Endless legal maneuvering by both camps and a change of venue to Marshall stalled the process for 20 months. When the trial finally got underway in December 1878, there was hardly room for all the attorneys at the defense and prosecution tables. Papa Rothschild spent